This is everything we know about GTA 6 since trailer 2. Every new detail we know from the trailer, from the screenshots, and even using the leaked document with over 60 pages of findings from the 2022 leaks. But we're going to cover gameplay features, mechanics, locations, interiors, minigames, activities, and everything that's going to make GTA 6 awesome. So let's start off with Jason DeVool. Jason is now confirmed to be ex-military, and we can see a tattoo on his shoulder that would indicate that he may have been part of the paratroopers. He's notably attractive, often drawing attention from women in public. Now, Jason resides in the Keys, which we'll discuss in depth a little bit later on, and he's working for a local drug runner named Brian in the early chapters of the game. But it states on the official site it might be time to try something new, so this is likely the catalyst that gets him and Lucia considering some scores. It's unconfirmed how Jason meets Lucia, however, once she gets out of prison, she can be seen wearing her ankle monitor seen in the game's promotional material. She can also be seen engaging in work as part of community service. Meeting Lucia could be the best or worst thing that's ever happened to him. Jason is portrayed as an outdoorsman and practical handyman, evident from his rugged appearance and attire. He's seen wearing a marine conservation shirt, which is labeled sales and service, which may imply that that's a job that he used to have or has currently, as well as working alongside Brian. So let's talk about Lucia briefly. Her surname has now been confirmed as Caminos. She can be seen in fight clubs and seems to be the best of the two at hand-to-hand combat. It seems like she might be part of an underground fighting ring. She can be seen training at the local gym, and all of this is thanks to her father, as confirmed by Rockstar, who is the one who taught her how to fight. It says that fighting for her family is what landed her in the penitentiary, and that sheer luck got her out. We know that Lucia has a very close relationship with her mother, and that she was originally living in Liberty City. One clue about her past troubles is that she can be seen wearing a necklace around her neck that appears to be similar to one in which you may put ashes of a loved one. Is this because her father is dead? I guess we don't know, but we have caught a very brief glimpse of what her family might look like on the wall of her cell. Jason and Lucia reside together in a modest property located in the Leonida Keys. This residence is provided by Brian Hader, a seasoned drug runner from the golden age of smuggling in the Keys. Brian continues his operations through his boatyard. He allows Jason to live rent-free in one of his properties, provided that Jason assists him with local shakedowns and collects payments from tenants in the area. But this boat warehouse and his tenancy allows him to then basically money launder. He launders his drug money through these fronts, and that's how he's able to stay under the radar and remain somewhat undetected with his businesses. Now, Brian might seem like a friendly character, and he seems to have an extremely close relationship with Jason based on their banter that we saw in the trailer. But that being said, in Rockstar's own words, he moves like a great white shark if necessary. So Brian can obviously be misunderstood, and he's definitely not someone to cross paths with. It sounds like in the early chapters of the game, we're going to be working for Brian quite a lot, and he's probably the guy who helps us figure out how to get our foot in the door in the drug underworld. The official GTA 6 website reveals that Jason and Lucia have always known the deck is stacked against them, and when a seemingly easy score goes wrong, they're thrusted into a dangerous conspiracy that spans the entire state of Leonida. Their bond becomes both their greatest strength and a potential vulnerability. The word conspiracy is used intentionally, I feel, and significant in this description. The trailers show us a glimpse of some law enforcement, which could indicate potential corruption in the storyline, but it's unconfirmed at this point in time. Obviously, Jason has a really close bond with this Brian character, so it sounds like perhaps the corrupt police officers or the law in Leonida may start to poke and prod at this, and it may come between them. Now, we're going to discuss the characters a little bit later on, because it mentions there that a score that goes wrong. But before that, I want to discuss the map and the locations that we can expect to see in the game. Then we're going to discuss some of the characters that are going to make this game really special. Stretching south of Vice City are the Leonida Keys, which is where Jason and Lucia will live in the early chapters of the game. Now, this is GTA 6's answer to the Florida Keys. Now, this is a tropical area of small islands linked by long causeways, which, much like real life, they have very long highways that stretch all the way out of Miami down to Key West. Now, life in the Leonida Keys isn't flashy, and it's more of an easy, laid-back place to reside. So think neon bars, tiki lights, and colourful characters. Now, I'm super excited to explore this place and see what kind of people we can encounter here. From the trailers so far, it looks like it's going to be a lot of crazy people, which is perfect for a GTA game. But as you can see by this mobility scooter screenshot, there is a diverse range of characters just from this screenshot alone, from this old lady on the mobility scooter to hippies and drunk tourists, and even this guy urinating in the background, all the way to this kid over here, or these kids climbing on this monument. So there's so much diversity going on here. Now, the surrounding seas are teeming with life. In fact, several species of shark actually inhabit these waters in real life, so we can expect to see those in GTA 6 as well. And in this screenshot, if you look closely, you can actually see a shark underneath this boat. So, little fun fact for you there. And I'm sure those NPCs have no idea of what's lurking beneath the waters there. But in the leaked files, we saw references to shark cage diving, which is definitely something that's probably going to be able to be done from the Keys, but we'll discuss that later when we touch on activities. Lots to come in this video, guys, so we've got to move on with explaining this location first of all. So, as seen in this screenshot, a seaplane flies over the Leonida Keys with Vice City way off in the distance. This is very, very impressive to see just how far the view distance is and draw distance, so you can get a scale or an idea, here, of just how far away the Keys is going to be from Vice City. And in case you didn't know, just like in real life, a majority of this distance is going to be highway that's suspended over the ocean. So it's going to be a really cool place to drive, do street races and stuff like that. Visually and geographically, Leonida Keys it's got very shallow blue waters and coral reefs in real life. And we see islands dotted all over the place with small houses and marinas just like in real life. So that's basically what Leonida Keys is going to be like. Now, we also know that the Coast Guard is going to be very active in these areas. And we know that a friend of Jason's called Cal, who we're going to mention a bit later on in the video, will be monitoring this Coast Guard activity. And that's because the Leonida Keys, or the Florida Keys in real life, is a hotspot for drug trafficking. Now, that's exactly what Brian's business is in GTA 6. Anyway, thanks to the 2021 leaks, we also saw references to yard sales that take place in the Leonida Keys. So there's going to be a lot of interesting things that you can discover in these streets. So while Ocean Beach and Ocean Drive on the far eastern island offer classic postcard glamour, with stuff like hotels, rooftop pools, nightclubs, and influencers filming stuff in the streets, the city stretches far beyond just Ocean Beach. So in the beach area, particularly around Ocean Beach and South Beach, you're going to be able to find a vibrant tourist-heavy district full of activities to do. And you can expect to see people sunbathing, working out on public gym equipment, posing for Snapmatic pictures, and even shooting social media content like this girl here with the tripod. Now, confirmed interiors in this area from the leaks and from the trailers include things like convenience stores, bars, gyms, restaurants, strip clubs, and even social media offices. So you're going to find a lot of returning locations as well, because in the game files, in the leaks, it was mentioned about Malibu Club and Leaf Links Golf Club, both of which appear in older GTA titles and are iconic in this area of the map. But like I said, Vice City isn't just about beaches, because in the downtown section, it's going to be totally different. A few key landmarks that we're aware of are places like the Jack of Hearts nightclub, which belongs or is run, shall we say, by a character called Booby, who I'm going to discuss a little bit later on. And in some of these small little snippets we got of screenshots, we can see things like giant cruise ships and an open marina. So the downtown is going to be really awesome to explore. And we know that places like the Bayfront Park Amateur Theatre and the Lone Depot Park, which is home of the Vice City Mambas, will also feature. Now, Vice City also has a huge port, which with, like I said, the marina, industrial docks, and it's full of shipping containers that we know we're going to be able to loot, which we will again discuss later when we discuss things like activities we can do and features that are present in the game. But on the opposite side of the city, we're going to find the Vice City International Airport. And that's where this iconic sign comes into play, which says Vice City. So in the outer regions of Vice City, though, we're going to find places like suburban neighborhood zones. Now, these areas are going to offer a lot more interesting stuff like thrift stores, drug houses, and a lot more suburban places to wander around. Now, the leaks suggested that things like shops are going to close up at night and open at certain times in the day. And the NPCs are going to be dynamic, and they're going to change based on the time of day as well. So you might find some dodgy characters out at night time, but during the day it's bustling with tourism. So Rockstar Games are going way above and beyond to make this world feel believable, which I'm super excited about. But let's move on to the grass rivers, because as you venture inland from Vice City, you hit the grass rivers, and these are a vast expanse of untamed wetlands, clearly inspired by the real-life Florida Everglades, where you never know what lies beneath the surface. And I'm really excited about this because, as you can see from a variety of these screenshots, not only the NPCs we can find in this area are going to be really diverse and interesting, but also it looks like a pretty dangerous place that's very reminiscent of the swamps in Red Dead Redemption 2, which is going to be teeming with alligators and stuff like that. Now, this screenshot really gives you an idea of what kind of vehicles can traverse this terrain, and it's pretty much only off-road vehicles, but also the police have their own off-road vehicles in this area, and you can see there that also airboats are a good way to travel. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Rockstar implement these diverse vehicles that can only traverse certain terrain types. The region of Grass Rivers spans most of the southern Leonida state, and it reportedly runs through both the Vice-Dale County, which is in the east, and Kelly County in the west. Rockstar Games said that the oddball human inhabitants may just be as dangerous as the alligators that lie under the water, and there's going to be a hell of a lot of activities to do here. Some examples of interiors in this area confirmed by the leaks in 2022 include boat docks, drug labs, swamp hideouts, fan boat rentals. So that's an idea of all the things that we are aware of that are going to be located here. And as we go more north, we're going to find a location called Port Gellhorn, which is also known as the Forgotten Coast. Port Gellhorn is going to be one of the most atmospheric and eerie places, and one standout location is seen here, and it's the Starlet Motel. Now, this is a rundown neon lit building with a flickering sign, and you can see that it's also pretty much abandoned, which just tells the story of Port Gellhorn all summed up in one. This place is going to be like GTA's equivalent of what Thieves Landing was in Red Dead Redemption, a place where the law is few and far between, and a lot of crime is going to go unnoticed here. And this is also where we're going to be able to find the fences. Now, a fence is a place where you go to sell illegal goods or stolen goods for a cheaper price. Essentially, it's like a black market or a place where you can sell things that you've stolen. So Port Gellhorn is going to be the hub or central hub where we can do all those kind of things. Port Gellhorn was once a thriving coastal resort, but now it's full of cheap motels, shut down attractions, and deserted strip malls. Now, the 2022 leak said about a pawn shop, police station, strip clubs, a bingo hall, a bowling alley, car wash, warehouses, and a fishing store. So just from those things that we are aware of from the leaks, this place is going to have a lot of stuff for us to do. Bowling is something we're going to need to touch on a little bit later when we mention about the activities we're going to be able to play. Let's move on then to the heart of the map, right in the center, which is going to be pretty much where you're going to find Ambrosia. Now, Ambrosia's real-life counterpart is Lake Okeechobee in Florida, so you can expect to see a very large lake in this area. Now, Ambrosia is a small industrial town in the rural heart of Leonida. It looks like the Ambrosia MC, or motorcycle club, will be riding through here on a frequent basis. Now, this place is where, quote-unquote, the American industry and old-school values will reign supreme. The economy in this area is dominated by the Allied Crystal Sugar Refinery, which provides the majority of jobs, while the local biker gang provides almost everything else, quote-unquote. Some examples of interiors and locations we know of that were included in this area in the 2022 leaks include a sheriff's office, gas stations, biker bars, diners, garages, and not really a lot else. But of course there is going to be a ton more, but that's just the things that we're aware of. But I think just from those tiny little snippets of places that we know of, that gives you a general idea of what this place Ambrosia is going to be like. And as we go more north towards the boundaries of the state, we're going to find one of my favorite locations of all time that I'm really excited to explore. And that's going to be the Mount Caliga Wildlife Area. Now, this is essentially the game's Mount Chiliad style region by the looks of it. I think Rockstar Games knew that if the map was just completely flat, it was going to be a little bit boring. But this place looks far from boring. This is basically a red clay cliff area with winding roads and bridges that tower over canyons, which basically suggests a landscape very close to rural Georgia more than Florida. And I think that's been done deliberately. Now, we've seen a variety of number plates in the footage that says Gloriana, and a lot of people are thinking that this is Rockstar's version of Georgia. So in the leaked documents, it actually mentions places that we can find in this, like ravines, waterfalls, caves. It even mentions a mine shaft that we can discover. So that gives you an idea of some of the things that we could expect to see possibly in this area. So for all the confirmed locations that Rockstar have given us, that sums them up. So now we know more about the world, it's time to touch more on the characters we can expect to find in the game. So first of all, we have Cal Hampton. Cal Hampton is a close friend of Jason's and part of his inner circle. Cal is described as Jason's friend and a fellow associate of Brian's. Cal seems to be cautious and a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. So he definitely sounds like he's going to be GTA 6's version of Lester. In Rockstar's own words, he can be seen listening to police radio and Coast Guard scanners. And as we mentioned earlier, the Leonida Keys are a huge hub for drug trafficking, which means that the Coast Guard are heavily monitoring everything that goes on in order to try and stop this from happening. So Cal is going to be a character who can monitor the Coast Guard communications and advise Brian with his drug trafficking business about what potential dangers there might be. Rockstar humorously noted that he is the low tide of America and he's happy there, meaning he has no great aspirations to climb the social ladder. Next characters we have are Booby Ike and Dre Kwan. Booby Ike is a well-known figure in Vice City. According to the official Rockstar website, he used his time on the streets to build wealth and now owns a strip club, a nightclub, and a recording studio. Now, his main focus at this current time is helping the launch of a career of a young music mogul named Dre Kwan, and together they run Only Raw Records, which is a record label for rap music looking for the next big rap act. So let's move on to Dre Kwan, who works closely with him. Now, this guy is Vice City's next big shot in the music game. So now, with the help of his friend Booby Ike, who's his co-founder in Only Raw Records, they work together in spotting talent and signing them to this record label in hopes that they can make it big. And we've seen a variety of footage that shows us things like this, music videos being filmed and social media videos. Now, his biggest move yet so far is signing the Real Dimes, and they are a rap duo made up of two characters named Bay Lux and Roxy. So both Booby and Dre Kwan work closely with these girls. Now, we've seen a lot of these girls from the very first trailer and in some screenshots and trailer too. Now, after 5 years of irrelevancy, ups and downs, including a lot of off-screen trouble, they are now signed to Only Raw Records. So it sounds like we're gonna meet these guys at some point through Booby Ike and Dre Kwan, and we're gonna probably help these girls film some music videos and capture some pretty crazy footage for social media. That's definitely the gist of what I'm getting so far from this information and what we've seen from the trailers. Raul Batista. Now, Raul is going to be the one who gives us some really cool heists and big scores. He's described as a seasoned and experienced bank robber, and in one scene we see Jason and Lucia wearing skull masks and ballistic vests, which seems to be the same masks they're seen wearing in several other screenshots, like here with Raul. But not only this, Lucia is seen in the back of this armored van also wearing the same skull masks, so I believe this is all part of one continuous mission. According to Rockstar, Raul's recklessness raises the stakes with every score, meaning the jobs he plans gets riskier and more chaotic every time. But that's not all the characters that have been shown to us, but that's all of the ones that Rockstar have confirmed. But in 3 different screenshots on Rockstar's website, you can spot a man wearing a purple tank top. Now this guy is likely Brian's pilot, so he's going to be a supporting character, but we're yet to find out who this is. Could this be Kai? Now this was pointed out by a subscriber, and it looks like it was discovered by Reddit user FarStatistician790. Anyway, let's move on from speculation on that behalf, and let's talk more about the activities and pastimes we can expect to do in Leonida. So firstly, as confirmed now in a screenshot and in the leaks, scuba diving is going to be making a return from GTA 5, and this beautiful screenshot shows just how incredibly detailed the underwater world is going to be. Now, in the original leaks, we saw a string of information that was referencing a shark cage event, which would imply that somewhere in the Leonida Keys or somewhere in Vice City, we're going to be able to go cage diving as an activity. And the leaks also gave us some hints as to a lot of things we might be able to find underwater. Without any specific spoilers, it included things like ruins, bones, and iconic landmarks you can actually find in Florida. The next activity is going to be fishing, and thanks to the leaks that was confirmed, but now this screenshot with Jason fishing with Cal basically shows us that fishing is returning, and it's probably going to be very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2. Next up, pool, which is one of my favorite screenshots. It depicts Jason looking a lot more rugged and shows off what I believe is a dynamic facial hair and hair growth system, which we're going to discuss later in the video. But as you can see, pool is now returning, which was actually in GTA San Andreas, so it's good to see that coming back. Next up we have kayaking, and at this point in time this might just be an NPC. However, it's very unlikely that Rockstar would show off this screenshot if kayaking wasn't something that we were able to do. Obviously, there's hunting coming to the game. We've seen it in a variety of screenshots, and it's likely that maybe illegal poaching and hunting may be a way that we can make money. The 2022 leaks also showed a string of code that pretty much confirmed that hunting was going to be in the game. And it looks like a lot of the hunting is going to take place in the northern border at the Mount Caliga National Wildlife Park. So the next activity is basketball and tennis, and as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these screenshots actually take place with Jason or Lucia present. But you have to look really, really close to notice it. So if we zoom in on this screenshot here, we can see Jason and Cal playing basketball. So there you go, pretty much confirmed basketball is going to be a minigame. But if you look very close, there's a tennis court right next door, so it's highly likely that tennis is also going to be something that we can play, although we haven't quite seen any of the footage or gameplay of that yet. Now, obviously, this next one's going to be a bit of a specialty for Lucia, but it looks like underground fight clubs similar to the Ballad of Gay Tony are going to be coming back to the game. Now, again, up in the Mount Caliga Wildlife Park, there's going to be a hell of a lot of ATV racing and off-roading going on. And Rockstar Games wouldn't include this screenshot, obviously showing that as an activity if it wasn't going to be a thing we could do in the game. But what I do want to point out is that also we saw in Trailer 1 the Thrillbilly Mud Club, which has a lot of monster trucks and off-roading activities. So it looks like this is probably located north of Port Gellhorn and somewhere near the Mount Caliga Wildlife Park. Next up we have mini golf and regular golf. Now this is a first for a GTA game in regards to mini golf, and I'm really excited to see how that plays out. And what's really interesting is that in the background of this screenshot where they're playing pool, if you look on the TV you can see that Rockstar are going to be parodying a real life entertainment park in Florida, which is called Gatorland, and I believe this is where this mini golf course is going to be situated. It's going to be like a kind of like a mini adult theme park kind of thing. Now in the 2022 leaks, of course we saw that the Leaf Links golf course from the original Vice City, is returning to the game. It seems like Rockstar Games are going to go really in depth with golf. And let me explain why. The reason I say this is because unlike GTA 5, where the golf minigame was very simple and basic, where you just had like a single club and you just choose your distance and hit the ball. Well, this time round in the leaks, we actually saw that there's a golf driver, a golf iron, a golf wedge, and a golf putter. So Rockstar Games have added a ton of different varieties of clubs. Now that doesn't surprise me, because obviously Rockstar want this game to last a long time, so they want to make every single minigame and activity you can do in the game, especially for GTA Online, super in-depth. Now another thing we noticed in the leaks but we haven't seen yet any more of is playing dice. But also, as we mentioned earlier, Port Gellhorn is going to have a bowling alley. So I know that Port Gellhorn, as Rockstar described it, is an abandoned area and it's quite derelict. So I'm wondering if this bowling alley confirms whether or not we can play bowling and actually do it as an activity, or is this place going to be abandoned and now used as like a drug lab or a gang hideout? I don't know, but it's possible that bowling is going to come to the game. Next up, we have working out at the gym. And of course, we've seen Jason doing this on the beach, so we know it's definitely coming. But in the leaks, we saw a reference to a, quote, swole couple workout challenge. So it sounds like at some point in the game, we're going to have some sort of challenge or random NPC encounter that challenges us to some kind of workout challenge. And it sounds very similar to, in GTA 5, if you remember, a character called Mary Ann Quinn, who challenges a lot of the protagonists to these crazy triathlon races and a bike race and so on and so forth. So maybe it's a similar kind of thing going on here. So let's talk about some of the unique features and gameplay mechanics that we've never seen in a GTA game before coming to GTA 6. And then we're going to discuss some of the weapons and then finally move on to what we believe might be some of the missions that we see in this brand new trailer in screenshots. So first of all, we know that GTA 6 is highly likely to have a limited weapon wheel and weapon carry system. So just like Red Dead Redemption 2, you have a weapon slung over your shoulder and you have two sidearms. And this was seen in the leaked footage, so it's not 100% confirmed. But it looks like Jason and Lucia at most can carry around 5 firearms, possibly more with a bag. Now that brings us on to the next one, which is a physical loot system and bags for extra storage. Now in the leaks again, we saw that both protagonists could use bags like duffel bags in order to carry more items. And it looks like these bags aren't just cosmetic and they increase the carrying capacity of each player. Now in one of the clips, Jason is seen robbing a shipping container and one of the prompts on the screen said stash the cash in the bag. So it seems like these bags are going to play a big part in the game. As for weapon storage, it's believed at the moment that we may have to retrieve weapons from the trunk of our vehicle. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get any more details about that in the future. Speaking of weapons though, we know that GTA 6 is now going to have a dropping and picking up weapons feature on the floor. You can now hover over weapons that are laying on the ground and you can manually press a button to pick them up or drop them. So you can pick up a weapon and drop it at any time you want. And this also works with items as well, which we're going to explain a little bit further in the video. But another example that this was seen in the leaked gameplay was that you could actually see a box of car parts which had a prompt over them which said loot. So that is really interesting. Maybe car parts are a collectible that we can get in the game. Also, we know that dual wielding firearms is likely to return, which we saw in the leaks as well. And also that consumables and a quick select item wheel is coming. Some of the consumable items that we know of at the moment are things like food and drink, but also things like painkillers, a trauma kit and cigarettes. So these could all play a very similar role to the way in which they did in Red Dead Redemption 2, where they give us special abilities like Deadeye, so on and so forth. Now we know that lockpicking and cutting open containers is coming to the game, and this is going to be how Jason is able to make some money by cutting open containers at the docks. So we know that that's definitely a feature as well. And we've also seen that we are now able to go prone and crawl along the floor. Possibly going prone is going to be a thing, and in that case, if that's true, maybe that's why we can see Phil's son at Ammunition. He's got a LMG with a tripod, so maybe tripods this time might actually be usable and we can lay them down on the ground, so on and so forth, which would be really, really cool. Now, we've seen a few clips in the trailer now, and also from the leaked footage, that it's possible to lean your entire body out of a vehicle in order to shoot, and that drive-bys are no longer limited to submachine guns and pistols. So I don't know how this is going to work if you're doing that as the driver. Maybe if you're the passenger of a vehicle, you can lean your whole body out, but if you're the driver, you can't. So maybe the driver is limited to pistols and machine guns still only. but obviously time will tell. But we know that for a fact you can lean out of vehicles and, for example, fire assault rifles now out of vehicles as well. Now the next new feature is Eagle Eye, very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, and we saw this in the leaked footage. It appears that Jason and Lucia, but we know 100% that Jason had the ability in the leaked footage. You're going to be able to use like an Eagle Eye ability, which is going to highlight areas in items in the local area, and it's going to highlight things like valuable loot that we might be interested in and stuff like that. There's a range of new equipment and gadgets as well coming to the game that I thought would be interesting just to touch back on from the leaks. So first of all, we've got things like a tracker jammer, which is used to block GPS or tracking signals for things like evading the police. There was a auto dialer, which is to hack keypads or electronically open locks. There was a USB drive for hacking computers, a crowbar which can be used to pry open doors and crates, stuff like lockpicks, slim jims, etc, etc. So it sounds like there's going to be a hell of a lot of equipment. Next up, we have the money laundering and criminal economy. One gameplay system hinted in the leaks was managing dirty money. You could see on the minimap like a symbol of a washing machine with a $sign in it, which is the universal symbol for money laundering. So it looks like Lucia and Jason are going to be able to buy their own businesses, which they will then use to launder money that they've earned. So that's really exciting as well. The last new feature I want to touch on is personalization of our characters and realism. So GTA games previously have obviously featured tattoos, hairstyles and stuff like that, but it looks like GTA 6 is adding a deeper character system, and in the leaked footage it showed hair and facial hair growth over time, and in the new trailer and screenshots I think we've got a perfect example of that, how our facial hair and our hair will grow over time, and we're going to be able to then go to barbers just like we could in Red Dead Redemption 2, and there's going to be a lot of stuff like that to get stuck into. So as for weapons that we know that are going to be in the game, let's go through some of what we've seen so far, and I'm going to try and keep this moving at a quick pace. In the heist scene, we see Jason and Lucia holding MP5s, and Jason actually has a red dot on his one, suggesting that weapon customization is going to be really cool this time round, but also maybe first person, maybe returning. Lucia in the back of the van is wielding a grenade launcher here. Phil Cassidy is holding a weapon here with a skin, and it looks like it's some kind of M249 SAW LMG, so that's really cool. In the background, we can see variations of weapons we've never seen before. So for example, a couple of double-barreled shotguns, combat shotguns, and old rifles that look like M1 Garands and stuff like that. We see a few variations of AKs with different stocks, as well as the M4s and AR-15s we mentioned. And on the very far wall, we can even see things like MP7 machine guns and stuff like that. It looks like Raul here is wielding the traditional carbine from GTA 5, or a variant of the M4. And in this screenshot, we see Jason wielding a proper M4, finally. And it gives us a sense of just how detailed these weapons are really going to be. Speaking of the M4 though, this Hunter here has a very highly modified version of it, giving you an idea of what the customization for weapons is going to be like. In this screenshot of Lucia hiding behind the wall, it looks like she is using a Glock, or a Glock 17 or a Glock 19. Jason in this screenshot looks like he's wielding a Beretta 92 FS in this motorcycle screenshot here. And this very short clip of Jason and Lucia at the trunk of the vehicle, it looks like she's wielding a discreet pocket pistol here, possibly similar to a Bersa Thunder Combat model. Now the alligator hunters, coming back to these guys, it looks like this here is an M14, which is highly modified with a scope and a skin. So it's really cool to see that there's going to be a huge range of weapons, because these two hunters are also using a Remington Model 700 bolt-action rifle by the looks of it. This lady here seems to be wielding a 357 Magnum. But the leaked files revealed a hell of a lot more, stuff like a chainsaw, crowbars, golf clubs that we mentioned earlier, grenades, knives, Molotov cocktails, pump-action shotguns, rocket launchers, and even a spear gun. So yeah, there's a hell of a lot of diversity in weapons. Alright, so let's move on to the last chapter of the video, story missions and the storyline. Now, Rockstar Games are extremely clever when it comes to their gameplay trailers and any trailers that they reveal. They cleverly reorganize missions and reuse the same missions in several trailers as to not spoil too much of the game for us, so it's a good thing, but it's also really clever how they do it, and I've already found some examples of how Rockstar actually do this. So first of all, let's discuss the heist. We know that Raul Batista is going to give us some heists, and it looks like one of these heists is going to be us robbing this depository here. We can see that in the aftermath of this there is a shootout in the streets, and then we likely escape with armoured vehicles, or at least that's one of the ways in which you can escape. There's probably multiple choices that you get, like in GTA 5. But in this scene here, we see Lucia wearing a golden sparkly dress. Now, this might look familiar because it's the exact same dress she was wearing in trailer 1. So at some point, Lucia and Jason attend some kind of party that involves a nightclub. Maybe this is where they meet Booby Ike for the first time? I'm not sure, but we know that Booby Ike owns the nightclub Jack of Hearts. It was rumoured for a long time that there's going to be a mission where we steal a safe and drag it with chains behind a truck, which is what we're seeing here. So we know that this is likely one of the smaller heists the game has to offer as well. Now, the leaked files from 2022 specifically mentioned something about a music video in the mission section. Either Draquan or maybe the Real Dimes, the girls that work for Only Raw Records. We also know that at some point in the game, there's going to be a robbery at Hank's Waffle Diner, which is the main primary thing that was leaked years ago when all of that GTA 6 footage came out on the internet. And we know that this Hank's Waffle Diner is going to be somewhere in the rural region, speculated to be near Port Gellhorn or Ambrosia. And also we see this bit here of Lucia on board a plane, and she's fighting this unknown woman for whatever reason. Now, I don't know why Lucia is in the cargo section or underneath this plane, but like I say, Rockstar Games haven't given us much to go on with this. But what we can gather is that we're going to start off playing as either Lucia and then see how she gets put into prison, or we're going to be playing as Jason and then witnessing him meeting Lucia for the first time and then playing as Lucia in prison. Then she's going to get let out, and it says quote unquote that she got lucky, so I don't know how she gets out. But then they're going to reside together in the Leonida Keys, where they're going to work for Brian, where Jason already has been working for. Maybe Lucia's going to try and convince Jason to get out of where he is, and maybe they could aspire for bigger and better things, and that's how they get involved in the criminal underworld and quote unquote the darkest part of American underworld. So it's going to be really exciting to see what information comes out in the coming months, and it's a long time to wait for GTA 6, an entire year, but I hope this video has caught you up to scratch on everything you needed to know, because boy, it was a big video. If you've enjoyed the video and you appreciate the work I put in here, trust me, it was a lot. It would mean a lot if you could basically comment below and tell me that you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and consider subscribing to stick around for more GTA 6